Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 26 to the public. iOS 26 is available around the world at the same time for everyone on all iOS 26 supported devices. Unfortunately, this year Apple has dropped support for the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max. Now this particular update can be found by going into your settings, going down to General, and then Software Update. If you're not seeing the update, just go back into Software Update, and you should see it there. Now, iOS 26 contains hundreds and hundreds of new features and changes. I've linked all of the different changes in the description below, so you can just jump to the chapter you'd like to see. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's new. Liquid Glass is Apple's new design language for iOS 26 in the future. You can see it in things such as the folder. As I move to the second page, you can see refractions as well as reflections, and it's sort of adapting to its environment behind. You'll see this in places such as the dock, where it's sort of a glass or translucent dock, and as I move the phone, it responds to my movements, reflecting around the icons themselves. So you can see that all throughout as I move this. You'll see different animations throughout as well. So if I lock the phone and then swipe up without using Face ID, you'll see that we have sort of a bounce effect again with Liquid Glass. If I cancel that and show you again, things just sort of bounce into place. Then I'll swipe up again and go home. They've removed things such as the little home bar icon here at the bottom. We now know how to use it, swipe home, so they've gotten rid of that line that was down here. So it adapts to the environment, and we have a lot of new options as well for customization. You may already see some here where we can have clear icons, we can have light mode icons, as well as dark mode icons as well, and some that even adapt to cases. So let me show you how that works. If we press and hold on the home screen, tap on Edit, you'll see again more animations and new design. If we go to Customize, you'll see that we have dark, we have clear, and then we have tinted. If we want clear, we can even customize if we want light or dark mode or auto. The same is true with all of the different icons throughout. So we can lighten the background, but if we go to tinted, it will then try to match your environment or what you have set as a wallpaper. Or if we go to this icon, it will then match the case that you've attached to it. For example, I have a case here from Apple, and since it knows what it is as far as a black case, it's an Apple silicone case. If we go ahead and connect it here or attach it, it should recognize it. You'll see it recognized it like that. We'll swipe up, and now it's tinted with black icons. So black translucent tinted icons, and again, this will match any case you have. All of this is a customizable option, of course, and you can change it to whatever you prefer. But you have lots of different options this time around. If you don't like this glass look, you can actually turn it off in accessibility. If you go into your settings, go to accessibility, then under display and text size, go to reduce transparency, and you'll see here that it gets rid of much of that glass look for things such as folders, making it easier to see if you need better contrast. So again, that's something you can turn on and off, and you can notice the glass switches throughout the menu, and things like this all have been redone throughout the OS. So again, you can fully customize it however you would like. And you'll see new animations with menus throughout. So if we press and hold on maybe an icon, things bounce out. And again, lots of changes throughout, and we'll be exploring more of that as we go through different apps. If we go into the control center, you'll notice some differences here as well. Again, it has sort of a bouncy effect as we swipe up and down, and sort of a glass or translucent effect as well. We have new submenus in the control center, so if we go in here, you can see some new submenus. Tap on maybe my Wi-Fi, you'll see some other options. The same is true for AirDrop. Lots of different changes throughout when you go into the control center. And then of course you can see Wi-Fi, press and hold, you get the same thing. If we swipe home, we'll go into music, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. But if maybe we start some music here, we also have a new design for that in the control center as well. So lots of things with Liquid Glass, and you'll see what they look like here. So again, lots to explore, but again, we'll go through all the different apps in just a moment. Now, one thing you may have already noticed is we have a bunch of new icons. We have a new camera app icon, we have a new photos icon, as well as changes to the podcast icon, mail. They have more depth this time around, getting away from that flat design that was introduced with iOS 7. You'll see we have a new Find My icon, we have more depth with Home and Maps, and if we scroll over, we even have a couple new apps we'll come back to in a little bit. We have Games and Preview. So lots of changes throughout to the overall design, and of course, as you're using it, you'll explore different changes. You'll see them yourself as well. Now we have some new ringtones that Apple has added finally. So if we go into our settings, go down to sound and haptics, then you'll see our ringtone and alerts, and then we have ringtone. If we go into ringtone, you'll see that we have some new ringtones here that say reflection. If we go into reflection, we have a bunch of different options. So let me go ahead and turn the volume up here so you can hear them. Here's the default option. Here's buoyant. Here's dreamer. This is my favorite. If we go into pond, this is next. Pop, reflected, surge, and we also have another new one down here called Little Bird. And wait for it. So those are all new ringtones that are included, and you can even add ringtones a lot easier this time around. So there's an option to do that. So maybe you have a file you've installed to your phone, you've downloaded it to the Files app. Again, there's some updates to that app itself, but let's just go to one of the files. You'll see I search for MP3 in files. If I press and hold, go to share, under share, go to more, we now have the option to use as ringtone. As long as the file is under 30 seconds long, you can use it as your ringtone. So this one's a little bit over and it's telling us that, so you would have to modify it. But if you have a sound file that's under 30 seconds, you can easily set it as your ringtone now and just use that. Again, if we go back to settings, we'll go back to sound and haptics. And if we scroll down, we have a new option here. You'll see here it says reduce loud sounds. It used to be called something else in earlier versions of this, such as late night mode, but it actually reduces audio volume range and creates softer sound effects while maintaining the quiet details of the original audio. So that's something that's new. And also, if maybe you're using AirPods, you can record high quality audio and select your AirPods and other things as your microphone. You can see the input here says iPhone microphone. If maybe we connect AirPods, we should have the option for that as well. Give it just a second to connect. And if we go in, you'll see now we have the option to use these as a microphone directly in sound and haptics. So that's a nice little update there. We also have some new wallpaper that goes along with this update. And we can find that either by going into your settings, or we can just go to the lock screen and add wallpaper. So on the lock screen in wallpaper, we press and hold. Again, we'll see more of that liquid glass design here. And as we swipe between different wallpaper, you can see that reflected under customize. But if we go in and maybe add a new one here, we have an all new screen with photos, photo shuffle, emoji, color, astronomy, and weather. And you can see some photos here that it's suggesting where it's moving the backgrounds. If we scroll down, you'll see we have the new iOS 26 wallpaper, and if we go into it, we have different options, of course, such as dusk, halo, sky, shadow, and then dynamic, where it rotates through the different wallpaper, both light and dark mode. So some really nice options here, as well as another new option if we go into our wallpaper that we already have set. So within the wallpaper, you'll see some new options here. We have a new option right here called spatial scene. It generates a spatial scene that creates movement throughout, so you can sort of look around it, giving it sort of a parallax effect, but also the appearance of depth. We also have some customization here where it will recognize the background. So you'll see if I turn off the spatial scene, it jumps behind with the actual lettering or numbering of the time, and we can customize this further. So we have the option, of course, to shrink this down. We don't have to use it at all, but we can go back and forth, change it to whatever we'd like, shrink it down. Now, if we go back to the one I was using, you can see it has a unique look to it, of course. Some of the liquid glass is reflecting through. And if we customize, again, I have my new widgets down at the bottom. We can scroll these up to the top and it shrinks the time, bring them back down, and it expands it back out. So lots of different customization here. Spatial scenes, again, don't work as well with things that are sort of a photo, but they do work well with things such as maybe a landscape or something where it actually has depth. Of course, you can extend the wallpaper, and those are the changes for the lock screen. Now, when you have the lock screen set, you have some really nice updates as far as the music and widgets. So here's some notifications. You can see they have liquid glass. They look really good. And if we scroll home, let's again turn down the volume. We'll press play on this music here. Go to the lock screen. and you'll see that I have my music, again with a liquid glass design. If we tap on album art, if there is full screen album art or it's animated, it fully fills the display this time. So it has this really nice look to it where it fills in the display, looks a little bit different or unique, and then you can shrink it back down and everything goes back with your widget. So again, you can just switch back and forth. And then of course we have our notifications underneath, and then we can just clear all of them if we'd like. So some really nice changes here as far as the way it looks on the lock screen. Now, if we go into music, you'll see that again, we have that liquid glass design and it's dynamic based on your background. So if we switch to light mode, you can see it here where it switches and adapts to what's behind it. So as we scroll down, we have additional menu options, or it sort of goes into a compact mode as well. If we go back into dark mode here, you'll see that we have new buttons where it says home, new, radio, and library, and then we can slide across and there's this new liquid design again. So lots of changes throughout, whereas you highlight things, it changes overall. Now, some nice new updates here is that we can pin different things. So if we go into maybe our library, you'll see that we have pinned artists. We can pin folders or songs or whatever we'd like. So if we press and hold, let's unpin this album. And maybe this time around, we'll go into an album. Again, you can pick an album or songs or whatever you'd like. And we'll just go down and find something to pin. You'll just press and hold, and then you can pin it on the display. So we'll go down here, keep going. How about this one? Press and hold. Then we can pin this here. So you'll see it says pin album. And if we go back to library, it's now at the top. So it's a nice way to get to your favorites and quickly select those and then play them directly from here. Now, if we go into our playlists from here, one thing we can create is playlist folders here. So we can create a new playlist folder. So how about iOS 26? We'll tap create. We can create the folder and then add music to it and completely sort it, add new playlists, or whatever we'd like. So again, we have options for all sorts of things. So let's go ahead and add maybe a new playlist and new iOS 26 playlist. And then we can add songs within this playlist. So there's some suggested here. So we have this one. How about this one? Maybe this one, and you get the idea. Of course, you can sort it, and now we have a folder called iOS 26 with a playlist in it. So some great updates where we couldn't do that before on device. We would typically have to do that on our computer. Now, if you're playing a song that maybe is in a different language than your own, you'll now have a translation option if it's in a fairly common language, such as Spanish. So it depends on the device, but if we tap the lyrics option, we now have a new icon here, and you'll see that it says hide translation or show original. Now, because I speak English, I don't have the phone set to Spanish, it's going to show me the option for translation. So we can hide the translation, you'll see it disappeared, show the translation, and as I play the song, it also gives pronunciation as well. But you can see this here, where as we scroll through, you can see all of the different translation here, so you can understand what's being said. So that's something that's new in iOS 26. Within our music options, if we scroll down, you'll see that we have a new option under larger text for pronunciation. It says choose whether lyrics or pronunciation is shown larger when both appear. If we go into this, we can have it just show the lyrics or the pronunciation. We also have a new option here for auto mix. It's sort of a way to blend different styles of music together or just a playlist together as though a DJ was doing it. It doesn't always work really great. Sometimes it is great though, but it cuts the song short as it starts to blend them. So you'll see you can crossfade like normal. You can turn it off if you just want it to cut to the next song, or you can use auto mix where the song transitions at the perfect moment based on an analysis of the key and tempo of the music. So you'll start to hear this maybe speed up to join the next song, to have the same tempo and sort of flow into that song. Typically, I do like the way it works, but sometimes it's a bit odd. So try that out if you haven't tried it already, maybe in the earlier betas, and see what you think of it. Now back within music, if maybe we go out of this one, we'll go back home here. And back home, if we scroll way down, we have Apple Music Replay. Replay is now on device instead of needing a web page to sort of give you that information. So you have Replay all the time, Replay 2025, 24, and all the previous years. But again, now it's directly on the device, so you can see it all the time. So if you go into it, it's going to sort of show you all the information about it, top songs, top albums, milestones, and things like that. So again, it's on device now. Under New, everything has sort of a new look to it, and we have some new widgets to go along with radio and some other things as well. So if maybe we go to a page here that has some extra space, go to Edit, go to Add Widgets. Within Music, if we scroll over, you'll see a new option for pins. So whatever we've pinned within the Music app itself, we've got two different options here, as well as live radio. So you have those available as widgets as well if you'd like to use those. So if we want to add that, we now have a new widget for it if we'd like to use it. Now, music within Apple CarPlay looks completely different, as does CarPlay itself. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is the new Apple CarPlay. You'll see it connected. It thinks I'm going to leave and says, would you like to open Google Maps, since that's what I've been using regularly. We have a new option here, or the new design here, that goes along with Liquid Glass. You can see the different icons, the new updated icons for podcasts and everything else. Of course, we have different options for overall wallpaper and appearance. So if we go down to Wallpaper, you'll see we have the new iOS 26 wallpaper, and we have a bunch of different variants. So we have red, black, we have a purple, sort of a tan or beige color, another variant that has a little more green in it, as well as iOS 26. So you can also choose black, sort of a gray, and then again another tan color. Under Display, if we go here, you'll see we have Smart Display Zoom, where CarPlay will be automatically optimized for your vehicle's display. So we have that liquid glass design there as well, and then Show Album Art in Now Playing. If we go back, of course, we have more customization here, so we can go to the appearance, and you'll see Always Dark or Automatic, and then Always Show Dark Maps. Then if we go to Customize Icons, this is where Liquid Glass comes in. We can use the dark icons, and we can use the clear icons as well. While I kind of like the look of this, the clear icons are definitely more difficult to pick out different applications, so typically I use the dark mode icons, or you can leave it to auto depending on time of day. If we go back here, we also have different focus modes and everything else, of course. And of course we have multiple pages here, but if we swipe the other direction this time, we can go in and you'll see maybe our maps from Google Maps. Of course we have things such as Go or Voice, as well as our music. But if we swipe one more time, you'll see that we now have widgets. We can now configure these widgets, whether we want the date or time, calendar events, as well as photos here as well. We can scroll through the different widgets, and we have the same thing on the right-hand side, so we can control things such as our home displays or things like that. So you can see we have different options here for widgets if you want that to be what's on your display most of the time. Now, if we go back over into Settings, we have additional options, but now that we have a message coming in, let's tap on it.
Zach said hello. Would you like to reply?
We now have the option for tap back, so we can respond with a tap back. We have the heart, thumbs up, thumbs down, ha ha, exclamation point, or question mark. So now it responds with a tap back. And in appearance here, we have some more options, more for accessibility this time. So within accessibility, we have options for text size. So we can change it from default all the way up to 135%. So if we want everything to have a little bit larger text, we can do that, or we can just set it to default, whatever works best for us based on our vision needs. We also have more information at a glance now. So if we go back home, you'll see maybe we'll go into an app such as Music. Music looks completely different now. So if we go back home, we have some of our favorites on the top, pinned from what's in our Music app, but now we have playlists, artists, albums, songs downloaded, recently added. We can keep scrolling and you'll see the options here are the albums. Of course, if we go home, you'll see the options here. Give it a second to load, and we have recently played. We have top picks for you, as well as some things I've been listening to and more. So you can keep scrolling all the way down to your replay music. Under New, again, it's the New tab. You'll notice the liquid glass here on the top, so new releases, everything else. And the same is true with radio. So some nice redesign here where you can see what it looks like. Again, if we go back home, we have a similar redesign in podcasts. Podcasts gets the same sort of update. So we have Up Next, and then we have Recently Played. If we go to New, you'll see all of your new podcasts as well as some things that are featured here. And then if we go to Library, give it a second to load, we have Recently Updated, and then we have downloaded, latest episodes, saved, and shows. So really nice, very easy to touch since they're large touch points, and it makes it much better. Now also, CarPlay apps that stream audio, for example, for things such as live sports and events, can now show a scoreboard for the game on the screen as the game is going on. I don't really watch any sports or listen to sports, but if you have that option, you'll get sort of a live activity for that on your display. If we go into Maps, it looks a little bit different as well. So you'll see Maps, again, has that liquid glass redesign. And if we scroll down, you can see different things such as maybe Apple South Park that's nearby. If we go into that, of course, we can select the route that it's suggesting.
Starting route to Apple South Park.
And while we're on one of those routes, if we scroll up here, we can report different things. So for example, we have some options for crash, speed check, traffic, roadwork, hazard, and road closure. So some nice updates here. Definitely a redesign as far as visually. It does make it a little bit easier to use as well. And you'll find that redesign all throughout with everything around the sides, things from phone, it has liquid glass, as well as maybe calendar here. So you'll see no events today, but again, it has that new design, and anytime I see the old design, it feels very old. You'll see a call is coming in. So if I hit accept, now it's taking up just the bottom of the display instead of everything else. Another thing is this should support pinch to zoom soon for maps. Now, it does support it natively in this car, so if your car supports it, it should in theory work. This will work with Android Auto and the native navigation, so CarPlay should work hopefully very soon with that. But overall, I would love to see that updated and be much better as far as being able to use maybe pinch to zoom to go through the different maps and things. And finally, another thing that hopefully will be added soon is the ability to AirPlay content when you're parked on your display. So maybe you want to watch a movie or a YouTube video. Maybe you have an electric car and you want to charge and maybe watch YouTube for 20 minutes or so while you're charging. That hopefully will be an option soon, but so far it's not working yet, at least for me. Another thing that could be very helpful for some is if we go into our settings, scroll down to accessibility. Within accessibility, scroll to the bottom, go to sound recognition. This is a new option when turned on that can help you recognize different sounds. Maybe you're hard of hearing and you have a child in the back seat. You can turn this on and it will intelligently use your iPhone to continuously listen to try to detect certain sounds while connected to CarPlay. So it says these sounds may not always be correctly identified, but it will recognize a car horn, siren, and baby crying. So that could be super helpful. If you need that, it's now an option. Also, to go along with CarPlay, if we go into our settings and then we scroll down to General, under General, then under Screen Capture, there's a new option to turn off CarPlay Screenshots. So maybe you don't want your phone taking screenshots of Apple CarPlay, just turn it off and it won't any longer. Also, when it comes to screenshots themselves, you have HDR and SDR now. So if you don't want HDR screenshots, of course, don't turn them on, but it is now an option. So if you want super vibrant screenshots to match maybe your wallpaper, you have the option to enable that now. Just like Apple CarPlay, we have a redesigned Apple Podcasts app as well. If we go into Podcasts, not only do we have a new icon, but we have the new liquid glass design. So you can see that here at the bottom with the all new menu where you can swipe between it if you'd like. Go to New, Library, and then of course Search, go back to Home. You'll see the new design is kind of everywhere throughout the OS. So we have the new tab, which we didn't have before, with top shows, new shows, top series, top episodes, and more. So you'll see all of that here. And then if we go back home, of course, you have everything as far as up next. Now we have per show settings. So if we go into this show, maybe we'll go ahead and tap the three-dot menu here in the upper right. Of course, you'll see all of your different options. We'll go to the show and then go to the menu again. We now can go to settings. Within settings, if we scroll down, we can adjust the speed and audio per show. So it says customize for this show, and then you can adjust the playback speed or enhance the dialogue as well, specifically for that show and not others. So you can adjust it based on your show. Maybe someone speaks slowly for this particular podcast, just turn it up a little bit and you can speed up the podcast. However, if maybe you're listening to a podcast, you can adjust it individually as well. We have the 1x here, just simply swipe up or down on it. Or if you tap on it, it expands, and then you have the same options we had for the customization. So we have 0.8, 1 times, 1.3 times, 1.6 times, 1.8, and then 2. Or you can use the custom show settings. So again, you can reset it to default, and now you're back to where you were before. While there's not a whole lot of other changes other than what we already have here, that is the new design for Apple Podcasts, and it's just sort of matching everything else. Now, of course, you've already noticed we have a new camera design. The camera app itself has a different icon that sort of matches the lens on the back of the phone. And if we go into it, it looks completely different. It behaves differently as well. So if we slide in a phone just to put something in the background, you'll see we only have two options now, photo and video. However, if we tap on them, we get additional options. So of course we have aspect. We can change that just by tapping on it. We have timer, styles, live, exposure, and flash. If we tap on the screen, it goes away. And then we have some new options at the top. So we can go directly in and change some of the options here. So maybe we want raw photos at 24 megapixels. We can change that. The same is true with maybe sharing an album or the library, and of course the flash and other options here. So this gives you the same option as though maybe you were just tapping on it down at the bottom. Again, we can go into video and we have the same sort of thing. So we can quickly access all of our settings here. So we have ProRes with log or HDR, 4K or HD, and our different frame rates. Again, same settings here. If we want to tap on it, we've got exposure and action, and we can swipe as well to get those different options such as slow motion, time lapse, cinematic mode, and we can just swipe through like this if we want to use those. So this is something that's definitely a little bit more simple. We can spin it around, of course, spin it back, and tap photos, and you'll see some styles here as well. We have a new style that's been added recently for bright. So if we go into mood, you'll see different things here for dramatic, quiet, cozy, ethereal, stark. So again, we'll go back and forth. Luminous, vibrant, standard, amber, gold, rose gold, and bright. So bright is a new one, neutral, and cool rose. Of course, fully adjustable to however you'd like. I typically just leave it on standard and adjust it after the fact though. So aside from the redesign itself, we also have some options to go along with that. So if we go to the camera options here, we'll go up to camera. Within camera, you'll see it's changed a little bit. Some of it is very familiar with record video and things like that. But if we scroll down, you'll see that we have some new options here at the bottom that say lens cleaning hints. It says displays a suggestion when the camera lens should be cleaned to improve the image quality. So this is something that you can turn on. If maybe your lens is dirty, you forgot to clean it, it will let you know that, hey, you probably want to clean that to get a better look. Also, if we scroll down within our photo options, you'll see under composition, we have new indicators for things such as flash, live photo, or action mode. And then if we continue to scroll down, you'll see another new option for messages to save captures to photo library. Automatically save captures taken in messages camera to the photo library. So that's something that's really nice, convenient if you want it to automatically save. Now, many people will be happy to hear that Photos has a redesign since last year's change where many people didn't like it. Within Photos, you'll see we now have a new design with library and collections. If we go into collections, this is sort of the customized version you had with iOS 18, but back in library is just our main setup like we had before. We have options in the upper right where we can sort by date captured, both libraries, of course your personal and shared libraries, and we also have filter options as well for things such as all of your items, favorites, edited photos, videos, screenshots shared with you and not in album. So some nice options there. Of course, we can search, and it works pretty well, searching between different things, and it suggests different information you could search for, or we can go back out. Here's a photo I took a couple weeks ago, and you'll see we have this new icon in the upper right. We now have the option to turn this into a spatial scene, just like things on the lock screen. It will analyze it, then turn it into a spatial screen, giving it more depth as you move your phone around. So it's a great way to experience a photo of a place you've been to. Within collections, if we switch over to that, we have customization where we can collapse different things if we don't want to see them, maybe albums here, or maybe trips or media types. You can see those, and then we can collapse the menu itself. Of course, we can customize these as well, just like you do in previous versions, but now we have pinned where we have different things with suggestions and then any collection or album. So you can fully customize this however you'd like, but again, you only see this along with hidden, duplicates, handwriting, QR codes, documents, imports, recovered. You can customize that however you'd like this time around. In the upper right, we have the same sort of sort menus as before, where you can show all, collapse all, or reorder. And then we have different options for viewing it as well. Now, something else that we have that they've added that uses some intelligence has to do with maybe you were at a concert or maybe a sports game. It will give you relevant information. Within a photo, this is a photo I took back in July, you'll see there's a new icon down here that can recognize different information based on the place you took the photo, as well as different concerts or maybe sport venues. If we tap on it here, you'll see it says look up landmark or Mariners at Yankees. It actually recognizes the game that I attended, and if we tap on it here, it actually gives relevant information based on that game. So it takes a moment to load, and it shows the score, Mariners 5, Yankees 6, and then you can open it up in Apple Sports. It tells you when it was, where it was, and even shows you more information about upcoming events. So it's a really nice update to the Photos app, and hopefully they continue to add more things like this. So again, right now it's sporting events and typically concerts, but maybe we'll get some more things like this soon. Also within our Photos settings, down at the bottom, we have control for creating spatial photos. You can disable this if you don't want it to show up at all. So if that's something you don't want to see, you can just turn it off altogether. So we have my iOS 18 is out, what's new video. If we play it, scroll home, you can see the all new video player. It's translucent, has that glass design. You can of course move it around with picture in picture, from side to side, up or down, resize it. You can make it super small if you'd like. And then of course you can see your playhead there where you can see where you're at in the video itself. So some nice changes there. Again, liquid glass throughout. Now with the battery, we get some updates. If we go into our settings, we'll go back here, go up to battery. Within battery, this is an all new screen. So you'll see here, it says 43%, last charged to 45% 11 minutes ago. Things that are using power, which isn't really new, but the battery graph is completely different. It says you're using more battery today than you usually do by 8:02 p.m. and you can see different things below. So we can view all battery usage, just go back, see our overall usage, and it's showing us how much we used on September 9th, for example. I used 112%. You can see the times I charged, and I had 4 hours and 50 minutes of screen active time. Now I've run a lot of betas, some of them weren't great, but this gives you an idea of how it works, how much battery you're using, and what's actually using that battery as well. So it's a much clearer view of what you're using as far as that goes. Also, if we go under battery health, you'll see the information here with the manufacture date and first use. And then also you'll see power mode. Now, depending on your device, you may not have this, but we now have adaptive power. So we have adaptive power and adaptive power notifications. So it will adapt, and it says when your phone's or your battery usage is higher than usual, iPhone can extend your battery life by making performance adjustments, such as lowering display brightness, allowing some activities to take longer, or turning on low power mode at 20%. And then, of course, we have low power mode as well. So this is all new as far as the battery. And one thing is when you get down to 20%, there's a nice new animation. And you can see that here when the battery on this phone dropped below 20%, it says tap to turn on low power mode. So I took a screenshot of it, and then you can hit the switch and turn it on. So that's something that's new, where it just sort of pops down and lets you know that maybe you want to turn that on. Now also we get something new as well. Now it's not supported on all phones, but when you're charging your phone, so let me grab a charger here. So when you're charging your phone, whether that's MagSafe or with a plugged-in charger, we'll go ahead and connect it. Of course, you'll see it start to charge. And if we lock the screen, unlock it, it will say 43% charged. Give it just a moment to calculate, and it will tell us how much time there is left to charge. So let's try that again. 43%, 46 minutes to 80%. We'll also see the same information in our battery settings, where it says charging 80% and then 2 hours to 100% as it slows the charge. So this is more information that we get. It's not available on all phones, but it is available on the latest couple of phones. Also, we have Qi 2 25-watt wireless charging. So if you maybe have one of the new Belkin chargers that supports this update, you'll now be able to charge at 25 watts wirelessly, and it will charge a little bit faster, especially on the new iPhone 17 models. Within Notes, you'll notice that we have an all-new keyboard. The keyboard is found throughout iOS 26, and it's a little bit easier to see the newer design where it's more rounded with light mode enabled. So that's something that's new, that's found all throughout, can be enabled by third-party app developers as well. Let's switch back. And we also now have multi-script keyboards, including Arabic and English. So that's something they've added this year. Under our settings, if we go down to keyboard, you can go under keyboards, go under whatever your current one is, English, add a language, and you'll see we now have the option for Arabic. So we have other options as well, but Arabic is something they've added along with the others that are here. Also, if we add a new keyboard, we have an option for Arabic transliteration keyboard. And if we go maybe back into Notes, We can press and hold on the globe, switch between the different ones here. So if we go into the transliteration keyboard, we actually have the number row on the top. That's something I know a lot of people would like to see added to the regular keyboard, but it's here just for those with transliteration enabled. Also, another keyboard update is when you're maybe using QuickPath. This is a new note. You actually feel a little bit different haptic feedback as well. Now within Notes, there's some updates. Since we're already here, there's a few different ones. You may have already noticed the little bar here below, and as we tap anywhere, it sort of highlights, and we can scroll through it wherever we'd like just to see all of our information. We can press and hold here, and we have this nice big magnifier with a liquid glass design, letting us know exactly where we are. And then also when you select text in Notes, so maybe we'll select this here. We have a menu with more options now that pops up. So we have things such as our writing tools, autofill, add link, attach file, and we also have some different share options now. If we go into share, we can now export as Markdown. We can import as Markdown as well, but we can't use Markdown while we're in here. Also in Notes, they've brought back the loop. So if we go in here, maybe we go to Draw. This works on iPad as well. You'll see that we can add the loop back, and now it's available if you want to use that as well. Also within Notes, you can actually add a different formula and then change it, and it will then add a graph for you. So depending on what the formula is, you'll see here it changes. Maybe we'll change it over here. We'll change the 3 to a 7, and then it changes the graph. And then you can move the graph around as well. So if you want to manipulate it, recenter it, and then you can change it however you'd like so that you can have it in your notes. So that's new with Math Notes, but within the Notes application. If we go into our clock app, there's some changes here. So you'll see this now has sort of a liquid glass redesign, and maybe we go into alarms. Within alarms, if we add an alarm, you'll see that we have some options here, of course, just like normal, but under snooze, we have snooze duration. We can now change the snooze duration from 1 minute all the way to 15 minutes. Also, if maybe you have an alarm set to go off, let's go ahead and set that. Now I have an alarm for 8:20. Let's enable it. We'll lock the display, and I'll show you what it looks like when an alarm comes in iOS 26. So you'll see it's much larger with snooze and stop. Let's just stop, and now it looks a little bit different. Now we'll take a look at the phone app in just a moment, but if we go into settings and then we go down to privacy and security, then scroll down toward the bottom, we have a new option now for blocked contacts. It gets its own section here so you can see all of your blocked contacts at once and then remove them as well. Now, if we go into phone, you'll see again, we've got the same new style menu that we had before. You can slide through with your liquid glass sort of display here. And of course, we have our typical dial pad redesigned with liquid glass. Now, what we have here is better management of unwanted calls. So there's some changes here. One of those has to do with settings. So if we go into settings and then we go back, we'll go down to our apps, go to phone. Within phone, if we scroll down, we've got some new options and we have hold assist. So hold assist automatically detects when you're placed on hold so you can step away. iPhone will then notify you when it's time to pick up. We also have a different option below where it says screen unknown callers. We have the option for never, ask reason for calling, or silence. So you'll see we have a few different options there. And then call filtering for unknown callers, where it says missed calls and voicemails from unknown numbers will be silenced and moved to the unknown callers list. And then it also identifies spam as well. So you can turn all of these on. However, you may want to try this out before you enable everything, as you may find that you miss some calls. Now, I wanted to show you how some of this works. So for example, if I call myself on a phone number here, since I'm on Do Not Disturb, we may see a little bit of it, but let's go ahead and try it out here. So now if I place a call from another phone, we'll go to the call itself, and it's actually telling the person, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available. It's actually screening the call, and you can see it picking up from my voice nearby, but that gives you an idea of how it works. So it will screen who it is, and if you want to accept it, you hit accept. If not, you tap stop. Now back within the phone app, in the top right, we have some options here with a menu. So under recents, you'll see that here. If we go into it, you'll see calls, missed, unknown callers, spam, and then manage filtering. You can have a unified look. So if we tap on this, it's now unified and has a new design, or you can have the classic look we had before. So I prefer the classic look, but you can change it to whatever you'd like. Now I've placed a call to Apple, and if I go to the option in the bottom left where it says More, I have Hold Assist, get notified to pick up. Then we have options for live translation, which is something new as well as call recording, contact card, and add people. If I tap on Hold Assist, it goes up to the top and it says you'll be notified, and it says how can I help you, and you can pick up the phone right now. So that's an option now that you have in phone calls when you're placing a call to someone. If we do that again and then we go to More, we have the option for live translation. We can then have live translation from one language to another, so you can detect, but you'll see German, Portuguese, Spanish, and French, and then it will translate to English, that's default, or the other options here with English, UK, French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish. So those are options where it will translate, let you know what's being said. We can start translation, and it shows it in real time on your screen, just like it does if maybe you're receiving a call and it's screening your call as well. If I'm in a phone call with someone and maybe someone else calls me, there's a new look to the way this is handled. So I'll call myself here. You'll see that there's a call I'm on, and I have another call coming in. I can then pick this one up. So if I pick it up, it then automatically mutes the other one or turns it off, and then I can swap just by tapping swap at the top, and then it will swap between calls. It's no longer hold and call and some odd options below, or I can just merge the calls as well and bring everything together. So these are new options where it's me and then my other phone as well. And you can see this connected as well. So this is something that's much better looking the way it looks overall. And then again, we have all of those options below where we can end, see my other call here, and then again, live translation if I need it. So again, if I go to live translation and then someone says bonjour, and it actually says hello and repeats hello to someone else. So it's really nice the way it works, and I think it's a great update to the interface as far as placing calls, swapping calls, and making it a little bit easier. Also, back in our recents, you'll see we have the option to edit in the upper left. We can select, and then we can clear all if we'd like to. So now we can just clear all of them, 259 recent calls, and we have that option built right in. We can also tap anywhere to call back. So if I just tap, it will call back, making it a little bit easier to do that. Within voicemail, if I go into a voicemail, you'll see an add contact option, or I can report it as spam. We can delete it from here, of course, but it's easy enough to just report it as spam now, and then it won't bother you any longer. Back within a contact, if I tap on contact photo and poster, we now have the option for photos, memoji, monogram now, and emoji. So if we want to go to monogram, we can maybe go here, we'll just type A for Apple, and then we can adjust the style however we'd like, and leave this for Apple or whoever else, and you'll see we have that style now. So you can adjust this however you'd like with different monograms, or customize it with a photo or whatever works for you. Now, if you have multiple SIM cards, I only have one eSIM in this card, but if you have multiple eSIMs and you go to call, it will ask you which eSIM you would like to call from. So you can specify that, and then you can use a focus mode also to specify a specific SIM if you have multiple SIM cards. So you'll have that option in your focus as well. In addition to that, when you install a new SIM card, it will ask you if it's for home or abroad. So when you set up your phone for the first time, if you add a SIM card, it will ask you, is this for your home or is this for traveling? So that's a great addition and makes it much easier. In addition to this, if we go into settings and then general and then about, if you scroll down to your eSIM section or your SIM card section, you can press and hold on IMEI or your EID. So IMEI, you'll see you can copy it now, generate a barcode. So maybe you want to switch quickly to something else, maybe an Android phone or other phone, or you can share your device identifiers, making it much easier to do that. It's also much easier to transfer your SIM card to an Android device now. If we go back within our cellular options, if we scroll to the bottom, you'll see we have transfer phone number. If we tap on transfer phone number, it says place your device next to each other. Then you can tap continue, and then you can scan a QR code if you have one. So that's something that allows you to more easily transfer from one phone to another, especially if you're transferring to an Android phone. Now, just like the phone app, FaceTime gets an update as well. If we go into FaceTime, you'll see we have large icons now, and if someone left you maybe a video message, you'll see it here playing in the background. You have large icons to contact whoever you're talking to, and you have the same options in the upper right for things such as missed, video, voicemail, spam, and you can manage filtering. So it looks a little bit different here. And also if we place a phone call, So you'll see the phone is off to my left, and if I tap on the screen here, you'll see that we have new liquid glass icons. So if we tap on the three-dot menu, we can add people. We have the contact card, we have audio, live captions, live translation, the same thing we have in phone, and you can start translation and it will translate in real time. So it has a nice little interface, a complete different change here. And then if we go into this, of course, we've got our studio light, emoji, reactions, and we can flip this around as well just to show you what it looks like. So again, a nice update, much easier to use or to see, and just large icons when you want to use it. Now that live translation feature not only carries across from phone and FaceTime, but also to messages. So if we go into messages, within messages, you'll see we have a black background. Now, of course, this looks very familiar, but if we tap the name at the top, we have a new menu here where it shows info such as the phone number, but now we have backgrounds, photos, links, locations, and documents. You'll see anywhere I touch it highlights, and maybe we want to set something created by Apple Intelligence, set our own photo. It's got suggestions below, or we'll set one that's a motion background that they've had pre-selected. So we have green, purple, or pink, and we'll tap to set this, and we'll go back. So you'll see we now have a motion background. Now I will warn you, this heats the phone up quite a bit, seems to use a good amount of power as well, but many people like it. You can see the liquid glass icons down at the bottom, and if I tap in the messages anywhere, it highlights. So it has this really nice look to it, and definitely looks a little nicer. Of course, you can set whatever photo you'd like, and it syncs to the other person as well. They can change this and it will sync back, it seems. Now, if we go to the plus button on the left, we have some new options. We can send Apple Cash now. We also have polls here. So we have a poll. We can send a poll to someone saying iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Air, or 17 Pro rather, and then iPhone Air. So we can send a poll to maybe a group chat, maybe we're trying to decide where to go, and then they can of course select whatever they'd like. We'll select 17 Pro and it shows who selected it. You can also select partial text in this update. So if we press and hold, we can go in and select, but now we can select partial text where we had to select the whole thing before. Now we can copy, look up, translate, or whatever we'd like here, and we have writing tools and more. So this is definitely an enhancement where it's much easier to just select text that you want. If you're in a group chat with someone, simply tap the names at the top. You can change the backgrounds here, or you can add someone, making it a little bit easier. You can leave the conversation as well. Also, if I send a photo to someone, it will actually show who it's sending to at the top. So maybe you can send it individually. So maybe we want to send a photo to this person. We'll reply here. We'll reply with a photo, and then we'll send it, and it will show at the top if it's a large photo and it's sending to a specific person. Also, again, to do with photos, if we go back into the menu at the top here, you can see a bunch of photos here where maybe we were having a conversation, and this one in particular, I want to know where this Koenigsegg was. I can tap on it, see where it is here, see the photo, press and hold, and then show in conversation. So it will actually go right to where that conversation is directly in the messages itself and show you when that was taken. Also in messages, if you're in the menu at the top under info down at the bottom, you have automatically translate. So just like the phone app and FaceTime and sort of built in throughout iOS 26, you can automatically translate what people are saying. So if we enable this, you'll see that we have some options to choose a language. So maybe one of our friends speaks Chinese or French or German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Brazil, or Spanish from Spain. You can select one of these and then it will be added. And then if you have translation enabled, when you go back into a message, you'll see the translate option here as well. So you could stop the translation, have English only, and then if someone types in Spanish in this case, it will come through as English with the translation below it, just like we have in lyrics and music. Also on the main screen, if we tap the menu in the upper right, you'll see that we now have options just like we do in the phone app for things such as promotions and spam, and it can sort them. You can turn all of this off if you don't like it. And we also have a drafts folder. So maybe you wrote something, it didn't send, or you want to send it later. You can go back into drafts and then send it later. If we go into search, it's more natural now too. So maybe we'll search for photo of a blue car. and it'll show you anywhere where I may have talked about a blue Ford or a blue car is parked. You'll see that in different messages, and it gives you where that was actually spoken, and you can tap on it and go right to that part of the conversation. One other nice thing is typing indicators in group chats. So maybe someone's talking, they're typing out a message, it will show you who's actually typing that message within the group based off their photo. Now there's no mention of RCS being encrypted yet. Maybe we'll see that in a day or so. Maybe they'll just turn it on in the background, but we haven't seen any mention of it or when it's going to be enabled. Now, if we go into the App Store, we have a few updates here. Within the App Store, we have the all-new design with liquid glass that we can slide through different things. So maybe today, games, apps, and arcade. But if we go back to games and scroll down, there's an update here. So if we continue to scroll down, you'll see Game Center, Top Played Games, and then you can explore more in Apple Games in the new app, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. We also have something new that app developers have to update, but if maybe we go to an Apple app, let's try Invites. So we'll go into Invites here, see what it shows. We'll go in here, and if we scroll down, there's new nutrition labels specifically for accessibility. So you'll see the developer indicated that this app supports the following accessibility features: voiceover, dark interface, sufficient contrast, larger text, and differentiate without color alone. So that's a really nice update. And they've also expanded and made it easier to understand age ratings. So at the top of every game is an age rating. If we tap on it, it brings us right to it. And then we can learn more about those age ratings, what they mean for all the different varied ranges. So that's something they've updated. And that Games app is something that's all new. Within the new Games app, it says welcome to Apple Games. We can read more about it. This is more like Game Center. We have my account in the upper right. We have the new liquid glass menu down at the bottom, and it shows continue playing, what friends are playing, as well as Apple games for you or arcade games for you, and then also top played games. If we go to the arcade, of course, you can see the different games here. Takes a second to load. The new NFL Retro Bowl 26. You can see your friends and your game library as well, along with your achievements. So again, if we want to go back into Steam Link, take a look at what we have here and all of the different games I could view. And then if we go back home, again, scroll down, top arcade games. It's basically Game Center where you can go back in, see your friends, go to arcade, download some games, and just play around with it. I don't know that it's super useful, but it is something that's here that some people may enjoy. Also, if we go to friends, scroll down, you can challenge your friends, what to play together, friends are playing, friends in groups, there's suggestions and other things. So lots of little updates here. It's just another way to sort of get into gaming with friends on your iPhone or iPad or Mac. Safari also gets some updates. If we go into Safari, you'll see that we have the sort of normal splash screen, and then we have a liquid glass address bar at the bottom along with a 3-dot menu. Now you may not like this down at the bottom, so you can change this a little bit. So first, let's just go to apple.com. We'll scroll down maybe to the new iPhone Air, and you can see the menu shrinks here with liquid glass behind it. It's translucent, reflects what's around it and what's behind it, and then adapts to what's behind it as well. So if we scroll up to where the iPhone 17 Pro is, you'll see that it changes and you can see it a little bit different. Then once we get to white, it sort of frosts over, so it makes it easier to read. Now, if we go into our settings, we can change the way this looks. So again, we'll go down to apps and then Safari. And if we scroll down, you'll see tabs. We can have compact, which is what is currently set by default. We also have bottom or top. So if we set bottom, we'll go back to Safari. You can see it's sort of a larger liquid glass bottom sort of address bar. If we go to top, of course, now it's at the top and a little bit different with some of your options down at the bottom. So if you prefer that, or we can just make it compact and bring it back down to the bottom again. Now, as we scroll down, let me show you in the background here, you'll see it shrinks, gets out of the way. But if you want your options, it's sort of hidden here in the menu. So you have share, add to favorites, add to bookmarks, new tab, new private tab. And if we go to bookmarks, you'll see that it looks different again. So this is a couple extra touches to get into bookmarks. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it does look good overall. We have our recently saved. We've got some options here, how you want to sort it, large, compact, or whatever works for you. So you can change this and customize as you prefer. We have other options here, just like we normally would, with things such as hide distracting items, play all animations, manage extensions. Then we can search the page, and then we have font size, and then we can go back and see a privacy report and all the other options. So there's some things that are fairly buried if you're trying to get into them directly. Now we also have advanced fingerprinting protection for all browsing data by default. So there's much more security in this update with cross-site tracking, require Face ID unlock for private browsing if you want that, fraudulent website warnings, things to keep you safe across your device if you're going to use Safari. So I find it's pretty good overall, but definitely something that is a little bit odd at first. Once you get used to it, it feels fairly new and fairly intuitive, but it did take me a while to go in here and sort of go through the menus and figure out what I was doing, going to new tabs, swiping back and forth here. So if I want to go over here, swipe over to private maybe, or just to a new group, you can do that. So it is fairly consistent, but it's a little bit difficult to get used to. Something else that's new is the share sheet. So if we go to share maybe this web page, you'll see the AirDrop icon is all new. There's messages and mail and notes, and it's also adaptive based on what's in the background or what you're sharing. So you can see, of course, the options here with different apps. We can see options themselves for send as, PDF, or web archive. And then, of course, other options where you can edit these if you'd like to. So it's a little bit easier as far as the touch targets to tap on things. And again, it's dynamic where I showed you earlier where you could change your ringtone or add your ringtone from a file. AirPods get some updates, specifically the AirPods Pro 2, AirPods 4 and AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation in iOS 26, and of course the AirPods Pro 3 once they're released. However, if you're watching this after they're released, you'll have those features as well. If we go into our settings here, within settings, at the top, go into our AirPods, scroll down, and you'll see we have a new option for camera control. We can actually use one of the AirPods as a remote. So if we maybe select press once, I'll place one in my ear. We can then activate the camera. So maybe we want to set it up at a distance, take a photo of the family, or maybe you just want to control it all together. I can press it, and then it takes the photo. It's blinking the flash and counting down and then taking a photo. If I switch over to video, click the stem of the AirPod again, it starts recording, click it again, and it stops. So that's something that you can do just by clicking the stem of the AirPod. If you're on a phone call with your AirPods, maybe in a conference call with someone, you can record high definition with the camera and AirPods with the H2 chipset. So that's something that's updated. And also there's some new options as well. So if we hang up here, if we scroll down a little further in the new settings, you'll see we have a new option to pause media when falling asleep. If maybe you fall asleep with your AirPods in, listening to music, maybe a podcast or audiobooks, or maybe even a YouTube video, it will pause if it senses you fall asleep, and then it just stops things altogether. Of course, you can turn this off or turn this on, whatever works for you, but it's nice to have that option. Now, if we go back out of this menu for AirPods and scroll down and go to General and then AirPlay and Continuity, we have a new option to keep audio with headphones. It says when using AirPods or other wireless headphones, keep audio with headphones when other devices like speakers or cars connect to the iPhone. So maybe you're on a phone call, you're getting into your car to leave somewhere and you're using your AirPods or other headphones. You can turn this on and it will no longer just jump to CarPlay when you're trying to use that. So this is super nice. I've been using it for a little while now. Now there's also some new charging status indicators that show up when your AirPods are fully charged. It will show up at the top of the screen and also give you an option when it's charged to 80% to continue charging. And I actually have a screenshot I took the other day where it shows optimized battery charging, AirPods scheduled to finish charging by, and then you can charge to full now. We'll also get live translation on AirPods Pro 2, AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation, and AirPods Pro 3. This will be able to use these in real time, especially if someone else has AirPods Pro in, where you can talk maybe in one language and then have it translate in the other. It does require a firmware update to the AirPods, so you'll have to have that, and you'll be able to talk back and forth using Translate. So within Apple's Translate, you'll be able to have a conversation with someone in different languages. Of course, you can use the Translate app as normal, but you'll be able to do that in your AirPods while hearing what they're saying in real time. As I mentioned earlier, we have an all-new app for Preview. This is just like the Mac app that we have called Preview that lets us see maybe an image. This is one I took for a thumbnail, and you'll see that we have our different options to mark it up depending on what it is. We can see information about it, go into markup, go into our options, and we can do quick things as well, such as maybe remove the background. We can adjust the size, rotate it, or share it. If we go back, You'll see that we have other options. Of course, we can search. Other than search, if we go back, we have additional options to connect to a server. Now, this works great if maybe you have a new document you haven't opened before. You can specify where you want it to open. So press and hold, and if it hasn't been selected before, you can send it maybe to your favorite photo app. I have it here, just a preview, a photo I took a long time ago of the iPhone 8 Plus, and you can see what this looks like as you just scroll through, see your different documents. I don't know that this is super helpful, as it's sort of like having files and then notes separately into a different app with new documents and scan document, but it's just like what you have on Mac where you can do things quickly. Apple Maps also has been updated. So you'll see the map itself. It looks a little bit different. It has a liquid glass design, and we have places now. So instead of it saying library, it's places. So you can add work, you have home, maybe your favorite restaurants, and then of course recents. You of course can search, and then you have additional options here for things such as driving, transit, and satellite, or explore. If we scroll down, you can see of course recents. We have guides, guides we love, and then of course you can share your location. So pretty simple, what you would expect here, but it can learn your preferred routes this time around and then give you suggestions. So for example, if maybe you're leaving at a typical time every day to go to home, it can suggest that. We've seen that, but you'll see that we have places that it recognizes that I might go to, and it will suggest maybe going to that at a consistent time every week. Now, if we maybe go to some place, so we'll go to Apple Store, South Park. Now, if we slide up from the bottom, you'll see that we have report an incident. We have some new incident types here for crash, speed check, traffic, roadwork hazard, and road closure. It also has additional details for distance, for example. So if I select Apple Park, you can see distance is 2,260 miles, what they accept for payments, their ratings, and when they're open. So it's sort of a redone menu here, and you can see more information as you slide up. So again, ratings and everything else. It's just been fully redesigned to make it a little bit easier. Also, if we get directions again, now I'm on the lock screen and you'll see some information here. If I tap on it, it will give me relevant information. I can move the globe, but it only lights up when you're on battery power, when it has something to share with you. So it looks a little bit different this time though. Apple Intelligence gets some updates, so if we scroll down, go to Apple Intelligence and Siri, the first update is for those supported devices, is where it says ChatGPT. If you're using it, it will now show account limits, so image limit, other requests, and of course you can sign in if maybe you pay for ChatGPT and unlock all of the limits. Now Visual Intelligence gets a big update this time around. For example, we can press and hold, go into our Visual Intelligence using camera control. Maybe we'll bring in this iPhone here, and maybe we'll flip this one over, bring in the iPhone 16 Plus, and let's just take a photo here. And you'll see it takes a second here. We'll search, and it will try and find results from Google. It's pretty fast this time around, so it looks like they may have enhanced that a little bit. And also we can ask relevant information as to what's on our screen. So you'll see asking ChatGPT, and it says the iPhone 15 in blue, which is not correct. It's an iPhone 16 Plus, but again, it's Apple Intelligence, and that's what it shows you now. Now, you can maybe take a screenshot on your screen here. We'll take a screenshot, go into the screenshot options, and again, you'll see Apple Intelligence at the bottom. We have translate, we can search or ask. So let's go ahead and search. We'll find results from Google. It finds similar app icons. In fact, it found one of mine, and maybe we'll ask, what is the widget that you see here? And it says working, and it says the widget is Apple Weather Widget, which it's actually not. It's the Mercury Weather Widget. But again, you can circle things, maybe ask about what this is, swipe up to see images, or we can tap on Apple Intelligence and use it this way. So let's circle maybe the Photos app, swipe up, and again, takes a second and it recognizes photos. So you can do this on pretty much anything screenshot wise, and it will recognize what's there. It can also recognize events with suggestions on the bottom to add them to your calendar, for example. Now, if we go into our notification options, within notifications, we have summarize notifications, and it will now summarize notifications for news. Prior to this update, it wouldn't do that. They turned it off because they were having some issues. Now it will actually summarize. So if we go down to Apple News here, if you have that available in your country, scroll down, you'll see summarize notifications. So that's an option now. And again, it may not be accurate, but just be aware that it's something that's available. We also have Apple Intelligence updates in Image Playground. So you'll see the icon here. Things look a little bit more real because we can now use ChatGPT. For example, if we create a new image, we can create an image here using the style of ChatGPT. So we have additional styles with oil painting, watercolor, vector, anime, and print, but you can use ChatGPT along with sketch, illustration, and Genmoji. So maybe we'll try a Lamborghini next to a Porsche at the beach. And let's see what it comes up with. So we'll give it just a moment. It can take a while, but we'll wait for it to finish here. So you'll see it actually created one with a Porsche 911, and it looks like a Lamborghini Huracan, and that's what it created. So if you want to use that with ChatGPT, you can. And also we can create Genmoji and combine them together now. So maybe you want to create Genmoji, so we'll switch over Genmoji, and we can combine two of them. So maybe a smiley face with a top hat on. So we'll give that a second to create that. And you'll see we have a smiley face with a top hat sitting in a chair. Let's try that. Give it a second to create it as well. And you can combine Genmoji this time around. So you'll see we've got a little Genmoji there, a smiley face with a top hat sitting in a chair. So let's go ahead and add that. I'll keep that for later. Now, Apple Intelligence carries across to more applications this year, and one of those is Shortcuts. Shortcuts has a new design as well, so you'll see what it looks like here. We also have automation, so again, liquid glass, and then a gallery as well. And if you have a device that actually supports Apple Intelligence, you can use models on the device. You can have some suggestions here, maybe your morning summary. So we'll go into this. You can see what it looks like. We'll add the shortcut. We'll replace the one I already have, but it will create a morning summary for me. We have things such as a haiku, summarize a PDF, and it's showing you different things you can do. You can also, again, use Apple Intelligence models, learn how you can use models to power up your shortcuts. Of course, we have different options here, and actions and things like that look a little bit different. So for example, maybe we'll create an action, and you'll see a difference here down at the bottom where we have scripting, controls, and everything's a little bit bouncy there, just like all of the iOS 26 interface. But we have things such as all of your different apps. And then maybe if we go into search actions, we have things such as summarize, for example, that uses Apple Intelligence. So we can summarize text using that and create a shortcut with that as well. We also can create images. So create board, you'll see create image with Apple Intelligence. So you have that option. You can have a description of it. So if we go into controls, you'll see lots of different options that we didn't have before when it came to shortcuts. So if this is something you use, there's quite a few updates in here. I don't really find that I use it that often, but there are quite a few. And if you'd like a separate video on that, let me know in the comments below. Mail gets an update where it has a slight redesign with the new liquid glass design you can see here. And in the upper right, we have options for categories and list view and show contact photos. So it's a quick way to access that. We have select where we can select email. And then we have an option here for filter by unread and then select things maybe only from VP, only mail sent today, flagged, and other things. Now, if we update this, you'll see here where it says Outlook updated just now, and it tells you the status right there. Of course, we can search down here in the bottom, and the overall look has changed, but it's basically the same as last year. If I go to create mail, you'll see here that we of course have all of our different categories, but if I go to maybe X out of this, you'll see new menus, delete draft, and it shrinks away. So just some new animations. The overall look is mostly the same as last year, just updated with liquid glass. So we do have some different options here. If we go here, maybe to promotions, we can slide, and you'll see that it's categorized it a little bit, and some of the animations and things have changed. But overall, it's mostly the same. If we go back here, of course, we can use all of the different gestures we used to, and maybe select all, go to our options, and if there's anything different here, of course, we can select those as well, and then we have our folder options and everything else. So move to junk, mark as unread, and flag. And then within an email, we of course have summarize with Apple Intelligence if you have that, and then your unsubscribe buttons, and you can switch between different mail here. If we go into journal, we have some updates here as well. We now have the option to add an additional journal. So you'll see the little plus button here. We can add this and then create another journal. So iOS 26 journey. and maybe we'll add whatever glyph or icon we want. So we're filming it, and you can change the icon color to whatever you'd like. So let's change it to that. And now we have another journal. So you can create multiple journals this time around. There's also a new rich entry design layout. So if maybe we go into this journal, press the plus button, you'll see that it's suggesting things here. And of course, we have different options here with your font size and everything else, with an all new layout and new menu bar. So just like we had before with things such as notes, we get the same sort of updates here. Images can be added in line with text this time around. So if we want to add an image here, we can do that. So maybe this one here, and then we can start writing. This is iPhone 17 accessories. Do that. And again, you can add this in line with text or wherever you'd like. So there's some updates here. Of course, you have all of the same options you have elsewhere. And then that map you saw earlier was new as well. So if we go to plus, we can start writing, and then it can suggest different things with different maps. So that's very nice as far as the update goes, and something that just makes it a little bit more useful now that it's on iPad and Mac as well. Reminders also get some updates. Some of it has to do with Apple Intelligence, but if we go into reminders, there we have a new sort of layout and color style. So we have different options for blue for today, scheduled as sort of a pinkish red, all is black, flagged is orange, or sort of an orangish tan, work again is pink, and completed. So this is something that's a little bit different, and the layout is slightly different with liquid glass. So again, edit lists. Again, we can have suggestions or add other things. So we may have suggestions throughout based on email. I've had them in other videos, but you'll see here if maybe we go into our list here with 14 different things, they're categorized. Now Apple Intelligence automatically categorizes them. So if I turn that off, we'll remove it, then we'll go back in, then we'll auto categorize, and it will categorize what's here intelligently based on what it is. So maybe I'm filming something. These are things I need. Now it has photography equipment, food and beverages, support equipment, technology and connectivity, and transportation. You also have the option to set a reminder based on a time zone. So date and time, and then under time, we have time zone now. And we also have options in reminders. We'll discard that, get rid of it. We also have the option for a quick reminder in the control center. So we have a new option here, press and hold, and you'll see the option for the reminder here. So if we want to quickly create one, it just pops in and we can create a new reminder. Also, if you have a phone with the action button, you can utilize the control center to open a reminder with the action button. So if you use reminders all the time, we can go over to controls, choose a control, and then again, we have reminders here. So if we go in reminders, now we can set it and then quickly start a reminder. So press and hold, and now we can create a reminder just from pressing that button. If you use the Wallet app, there's some nice updates here, especially if you're using it along with Apple Intelligence. Within the Wallet app, you'll see it says order delivered, and it now intelligently understands where orders may be coming from. So it can utilize mail to determine that and then add them to the orders where it wasn't really working that well before. You can see your orders with the menu in the upper right, and you can sort it by month, and you'll see the one that I actually received. So it gives a lot of information with tracking and more. So again, with the options in the upper right, if we go to notifications, you'll see that we have the option for pre-authorized payments. So receive notifications related to upcoming payments. And something I find that's very helpful is offers and promotions. Back when Apple's F1 movie came out, they were pushing promotions for different discounts at movie theaters. And I don't really want advertisements on my phone. So if you turn that off, you won't see that anymore. You may have already noticed we now have a search option so we can search for different transactions. And also Apple Pay will now let you use rewards and installments for in-store purchases. Now, in addition to this, we should be able to add our passport for TSA checkpoints in the USA in the near future. We're not seeing that just yet. And we also have options for things such as pay later. So if you want to add a pay later option, such as Affirm or Klarna, that's available here as well. Now, if we go over to my second page and go into fitness, this has a couple updates. Of course, it has the redesign with liquid glass, We have a new icon for Fitness Plus, so you can see it here, workout, and then sharing. But if you are using Fitness Plus, there's an update for you as well. For example, if we scroll down, you'll see that we have custom plans, and it's giving you a plan preview of some that it created for you that it thinks would work well for your personalized schedule based on what you've worked out with before and your meditation setup. So these are things such as custom plans you can build your own, but then there's a plan preview and you can see things that it's suggesting. So it's a great little update here, and this goes along with an update for Apple Watch where you have a workout buddy as well to sort of encourage you when you're hitting goals or milestones. Now, if we go back out of this and then go over one or a couple here and go into tips, we have a new tips app as well. It takes a second to load, usually the first time. It's been updated for iOS 26, as you can see here with the new wallpaper, and you can see what's new in iOS 26. But if we scroll to the bottom, we now have step-by-step help. This is something that wasn't there before, so maybe you have a question about a new app or a new update. You can see information about your battery, your AirPods, screen repair, reset your password, security, and more. So if you need additional help, you have the Tips app with everything that's been updated for iOS 26. One area that Apple continues to update is accessibility. This year we have quite a few updates as well, so if we go into our settings and then accessibility and then maybe display and text size, you'll see a new option that says what's new in display and text size. If we go into that, you'll see CarPlay large text. I showed this earlier in the video, but you can do this in just about every menu here. So if we go into VoiceOver, what's new in VoiceOver? So you have a bunch of different things such as Magic Tap, customized Magic Tap behavior in VoiceOver commands in Magic Tap, copied speech rotor, reset VoiceOver settings, new Indian voices, and then we also have Braille updates as well. We have quickly access Braille notes, BRF files, and more anytime using your Braille display. You have an item overview, customized controls, more Braille commands, Braille keyboard input, single hand Braille screen input, slate and stylus input, as well as dot position learning and Korean Braille input as well. Something else that they've added with Braille, so if you're using Braille, one thing that should help a lot of people is users can quickly take notes in Braille format and perform calculations using Nemeth Braille. So it's a Braille code often used in classrooms for math and science. So you can open Braille-ready formats, like I mentioned, and you can unlock a wide range of books and files previously created on a Braille note-taking device. So it's integrated here along with live captions. If we go back, there's some updates with sounds. If we scroll down, we can go down to sound and name recognition. We now have name recognition. So not only do we have sound recognition with all of the different options we had before, but it may take a moment to download that. We'll come back. We have name recognition, so you can actually teach it a name. We have to wait for the download to complete. It's completed. There we go. And you can add a name, and let's go ahead and do that. Type the name you want to recognize, and we'll try Aaron. It says name already exists, so let's try it again. So I deleted it just to show you. We'll tap next, and now it says generate audio. So we'll go ahead and turn up the volume, tap play. And it says record your pronunciation. So maybe you have a name that's hard to pronounce, you can record your pronunciation as well. So that works for me. It pronounces my name just fine, but now you have that option. Again, along with sound recognition, again, that has to download quite a few things. But the new thing here is name recognition. Now under Music Haptics, there's an update here as well. If we turn on Music Haptics, we have more options. We have Customize for full mix, we have vocals only, and then we have intensity, light, medium, and strong. Within Touch, down at the bottom, we have Back Tap. Now with Back Tap, there's a new notification that shows up with a banner if you want to know that it's actually activated. So if you have that enabled now, it's easier to see in light mode, but if we double tap the back, you can see it says Back Tap, double tap detected. We'll do it again, and then it goes out of the control center. So it works the same, you just now have an option for the banner if you'd like it. Now if we go to display and text size, of course I showed you before, reduce transparency, which basically turns off liquid glass, but we have increased contrast as well. We now have more borders around things, so it's easier to see. For example, search down at the bottom has a border. If we go into general, certain things have different outlines, such as the back arrow, or we can still swipe, and it just sort of clarifies what information's on the display. Now, if we scroll down, we have a new update to Personal Voice. Personal Voice is now easier to add your voice. It takes just 10 steps now instead of about 50. So if I record 10 phrases, it should work. It also works in Spanish now. So if I create a personal voice, will record yourself, it says, generate your personal voice, and use your personal voice. So we'll tap continue. I'll set it up for English in the United States and tap continue. Find a quiet place, speak naturally, focus on your performance. And then it says default length or shorter length. So you'll see that we have a shorter length option, and then we have a recommendation for default length. We'll tap continue, and then we'll try it out. Now it has to compile my personal voice. We'll come back to that after we receive a notification that it's completed. It says it should take around 1 minute. So we'll tap continue, and it says preparing 30%. If we go under Read and Speak, you'll see we have a new option for Accessibility Reader. It says Read or listen to text in full screen view and customize fonts, layout, and background colors. You can see what's new in Read and Speak, and it shows this new system-wide update, which is designed to make it easier to read text. So we'll go ahead and turn that on, and you'll see it says Autoplay in Accessibility Reader. Start Accessibility Reader by using the Accessibility shortcut from the Control Center. So we'll go ahead and use that. So you can see the shortcut here. You can make it larger if you'd like, and then we can turn it on. So now we have Accessibility Reader, and it's a little bit larger. So
Accessibility Reader.
So you can see what's on the screen. You can customize it. So if you want to customize it to make it dark, balanced, loose, book, bold, light, you can do that. So whatever works for you best. So you'll see we're on the iPhone 17 Pro page, and if I go to the Control Center and then tap on Accessibility Reader, it brings me to Safari and then makes it a little bit easier to read. So you can see all the different information such as the design, but we can also have it read back to us.
Enclosure makes a strong case for itself. Introducing iPhone 17 Pro and iPhones.
And then if we want to adjust this, we can customize the reader, maybe make it bold, make it a little bit more contrasty so it's easier to read, and then of course customize whatever works for us. So it's great that they've added this, it's system-wide, and then you can activate it using a shortcut as well. Back within Personal Voice, it looks like it's completed, so let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. So we'll turn it up here, tap Preview.
This is Aaron's personal voice.
So it looks like it works.
This is Aaron's personal voice.
So it's much faster to create and is a little bit easier to use now. Within Accessibility, under Audio and Visual, we have background sounds and we have some new ones. So for example, if we go under Sound, you'll see that we have some new ones for airplane, boat, bus, train, rain on roof, quiet night, and you'll see all of the other ones we have available. You can add those in the Control Center as well. Just to quickly access it, press and hold, and you can switch between whatever you'd like. Now within eye tracking, there's an update as well. Eye tracking now supports switch or dwell to make selections. So we have dwell control here, so you can turn that on, and with dwell control, maintaining your gaze still for a specified duration will perform the selected dwell action. To customize, go to the dwell settings with assistive touch. So that's an option now. We have snap to item, zoom on keyboards, and then smoothing as well. So not a whole lot of changes here, but there are some nice updates if you use eye tracking. It also supports quick path as well. So if you want to use that on a keyboard, you should be able to use your eyes with that. One of my favorite things has to do with motion, and that's vehicle motion cues. There's additional options this time around for customized appearance. So we have a pattern with regular or dynamic. We can change the color. We can have large dots or more dots. So if we have large and more, we'll change them to green. And let's just turn it on so you can see it. So you'll see automatically in vehicle, turn it on, and that's what it looks like. So when there's motion, maybe you're in the car and you get motion sickness or maybe anywhere else, you'll have that option, or automatically in vehicle, and then you can customize the appearance now. So I think that's great that we have that, and it will hopefully help you out if you're feeling nauseated or anything else. There's also a new option for head tracking. Head tracking allows you to use things such as raise eyebrows. So if you want to turn this on with your assistive touch menu, so you'll see as I move my head around, it's actually moving up and down. So we'll tap no, and you can use this here to select different things with actions such as raise eyebrows, open mouth. So if we turn this on, we can open a menu, or maybe we'll open camera. You'll see there as I'm staring at things. So you can use head tracking with this as well now. Apple also announced that you'll be able to use this with neural implants. So if maybe you're unable to move at all, you'll be able to use that along with head tracking or eye tracking to help you better use this and utilize your phone or iPad. Within Assistive Access, if we go to Manage Apps, you'll see some additional options this time around. We now have the TV app, so if you want to use that with Assistive Access, you can do it, and it will just be a larger version on your display. Of course, you can see all the other apps as well if you'd like to use any that you currently have. Also, you may have already noticed that at the bottom here we have share accessibility settings. So maybe you've customized these and you want to share them, maybe on a different device. It makes it much easier and you can sync it to iCloud. So you can share your accessibility settings where it says temporarily transfer accessibility settings to another device. Your settings will be available while using a borrowed or public device, such as a friend's device or a kiosk, and be removed when you're done using the other device. So if you want to share those, you can then do that, or you can try it later, but it's great to be able to send that maybe to a new device and again have it synced to iCloud. Also, we have some updates in live captions for additional language support. So they've added quite a few. For English, for example, we have India, Australia, UK, and Singapore. You'll see additional options down here for Spanish with Mexico, Spain, and the United States. We also have Cantonese for China Mainland, Hong Kong, and China Mainland for Chinese. We also have German, Japanese, and Korean. So some updates there if you want to utilize this. Within Wi-Fi, there's a couple things they've added that you won't be able to see necessarily, but are very helpful. For example, Wi-Fi Aware is now supported, and also it can now sync captive Wi-Fi portal login information. That will sync across devices. So maybe you're at a hotel, you have to log in through a portal. It will sync that information across your iPhone, iPad, or Mac. Also in passwords, we get an update. So if you're using the Apple Passwords app, you'll see we have a new icon, and not only do we have passkeys and everything else, but we now have password history. So if you change something, you'll have a while to go back and change it back. And then you also have a new option to allow contacting websites. And within the passkeys options, down at the bottom, we have a new option for allow contacting websites, where passwords can privately contact websites to show names and icons for apps and websites that you have saved items for, and to inform you when a website supports passkeys. So a couple nice options there. If you use voice dictation, it's now been updated so you can specify a spelling while you're dictating. For example, this is a new voice dictation memo within the Notes app, and I want to spell out a word such as apple. A-P-P-L-E. And you'll see it will spell it out for you. So you now have that option. It's a small update, but helpful if you use that. If we go into the Calculator app, this has been updated, so it now supports an Arabic calculator, and also they've brought back the clear option. So if we put in a number, we can just clear and we're back to 0. So it just makes it a little bit easier where it was deleted in iOS 18. If you have a family account like I do, parents can move kids to a child account more easily and take advantage of a wide set of parental controls designed to keep children safe. There's enhancements across communication limits, communication safety, and the App Store. So there's more labels letting you know what's safe for children, and some of those I've shown before with the age ratings for games. Also in screen time, there's communication requests that have been added. So depending on what limits you have set for different people, there can be communication requests as well. Within Apple's Weather app, we have an update as well that's got a redesign with liquid glass. You can see at the bottom. And if we go into our maps here, let's go into Maps. You'll see in the bottom here, we have our forecast, and we now have a new option that makes it easier to switch between 1 hour and 12-hour forecasts. So this is something that's a little bit nicer, easier to get into. Of course, you have all of your regular options as well, with all of your different precipitation, temperature, air quality, and wind. We can also receive information from satellite communications or connections, and there's a new option for weather that can allow it to use some different location information. So if we go into Settings, go down to Apps and then Weather. If we scroll down, you'll see we have suggested locations. Mine is grayed out for whatever reason. No matter how I change it, my locations are on, but it's not showing for me. But you may have that option as well. Also to do with locations, if we go into Find My, there's some small changes to the icons for things such as maybe your different connections with AirTags, the overall look, and this also makes it easier to find a child under People. Now, if we go into the Files app, this has a little bit of an update as well. We have that new liquid glass design, and if we go to Browse, we have a bunch of different options where we can sort of collapse the menus or expand them to see whatever we'd like. So that's a little update we're seeing throughout the OS. And then also if we go back to Recents, and maybe we'll press and hold on this file, you can now see the option for Open With. So you can select maybe you want to open it with Preview, maybe iMovie, LumaFusion, or some other app that you have as well, or just Preview with Quick Look. So you can turn that off, and then it will open in a different app, or maybe preview it with Quick Look. go into it, and this is a photo again I showed you earlier that I took of the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, also something you probably won't see unless you have a problem is iOS 26 adds a recovery mode that can help boot your device if there's issues that it finds. So maybe it won't reboot, it's not working properly, it can actually recover on device and try to do it there. There's also a new recovery assistant that will let you restore your iPhone without using a Mac or PC. So that's something that's new. You can restore with nearby devices as well. So that's updated in iOS 26. The TV app also gets the liquid glass treatment, so we have the menus at the bottom like you would expect, and compared to the previous version with iOS 18, you'll see that we have larger touch targets, we have more information on the screen, and it looks just a little bit different. So it looks more like what we have with the music app and everything else to make it more consistent. So there's many other apps that sort of get this treatment as well, where we just have a redesign all with the new menu and liquid glass throughout. So those are all the major features in iOS 26. You might discover some animation differences, small changes here and there, but those are the major features that I covered. But let me know if there's anything else you've discovered that maybe you really enjoy about iOS 26. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, using iOS 26, at least for me, has definitely been better than iOS 18 at the same point last year. I think it's much more stable, it performs pretty well, especially on iPhone 15 and 16, and of course iPhone 17, and I expect it to get better and better over time. The same is true with battery life. I would expect improvements there. And of course, I'll be following all the changes from iOS 26.1 and beyond, so be sure to check back for that, as well as weekend follow-up videos going over everything new and how it's holding up. Let me know what you think of iOS 26 in the comments below. And of course, if you like this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.